All right, so for today's upcoming Fed rate announcement, now I'm shooting this from a very interesting location. This is actually the former stock exchange in Porto, and this chamber right here was used as a tribunal to settle disputes, commercial disputes that is, in the city of Porto, way back when. Of course, today it's used for wine tastings. Anyway, on to the Fed rate announcement. So this is a particularly tricky balancing act for our friend Jerome Powell to be walking. It's a tightrope for sure. On the one hand, he's got critics saying he's not doing enough. On the other hand, he has critics saying he's doing too much. The problem for Powell is that some of those critics are coming from within the Fed. We have a fractured Fed right now, and it speaks to, in my opinion, his lack of leadership, that there are other members of this committee speaking to the media, speaking to the public about their feelings about how the Fed has been handling monetary policy so far. So I do expect the cut of a quarter basis points to bring us to the targeted range of 1.75%. The question is, what does this mean for markets? And I think the answer is it's not going to mean much. The Fed, the announcement itself of the actual funds rate won't mean much. What might move the market is the presser. It might be the language. My opinion, probably we're not going to see too many fireworks. Why? Because I think Powell will keep his cards close to his chest as always, or as he tends to do, I should say. And essentially he's going to say that we're data dependent and that there are, global headwinds that we're all already aware of. And the fact is he doesn't know how soon those things are going to be resolved. Brexit, my opinion on Brexit has shifted dramatically. I went from thinking Johnson is definitely going to force through a hard Brexit to now, the chances of a hard Brexit are, I'd say, on the more unlikely side. So that's one global uncertainty. The other uncertainty, of course, is the U.S.-China trade war, which showing signs of progress. But what I would say to our friend Mr. Trump is, or not our friend Mr. Trump, depending on who you ask. I would tell him, we've seen this talk before. We need to see some real action. So that's a global headwind that, in my opinion, you can't say has been resolved yet. So I think Powell has a lot of people to please, and I don't think he's going to please anybody. And I think he's going to offend everybody. A quarter basis point cut, Trump will still call him an idiot, and at least a couple members on the committee will say it's completely unwarranted considering the broadly strong economic data still coming out of the U.S. So what does this mean for the dollar? I see the dollar trudging higher. I think it's going to go higher. I don't think Powell is going to be the dove that people are expecting, but nor is he going to be ultra hawkish. So expecting probably a fairly quiet market today. However, people will hang on every single word in the presser, and we'll see what happens. But I'm personally not expecting anything big to come from this. I expect dollar yen to head higher. I expect gold to fall. In my opinion, right now the dollar is not the currency to be playing. We want to be playing the crosses. I think cable, the pound is interesting, the Australian dollar is interesting, and the euro is somewhat interesting. I just don't want to play them against the dollar primarily. I'm looking at the crosses, looking at the yen crosses, looking at the Swiss franc crosses. That being said, if Powell does say something surprising, either on the dovish or hawkish side, it will move the dollar. So from a trading perspective, my advice is to do, if you don't have any positions, stay flat heading into this announcement. Wait at least 15 minutes after the announcement. Let's see what the price action has to say. Again, not expecting any fireworks.